rabbit holes around human design. And I've had many of you reach out and ask if I could help you navigate through your own chart. And so I am super, super, super excited. Hey, K-Hop. Super excited to let you know that that day has come. While I launched a program a couple of years ago called Living in HD, Living in Human Design, I decided I wanted to take a deeper dive and bring something new to the table. I, over the last 5 years, have gone down some pretty deep rabbit holes and really understanding the nuances of human design. There is a lot. And also then moving into understanding gene keys as well, which is really that kind of extraction from human design, and talk specifically about 3 individual sequences: your activation sequence, your prosperity sequence, and your relationship sequence. And so what's been really fascinating for me is, as I've gone down sort of this exploratory, good morning, as I've gone down this exploratory sort of rabbit hole jumping, a lot has shown up. And I've mentioned this on a couple videos already, but it warrants saying it again. I have been using human design and gene keys with my clients now for almost the entire time I've been going down those deep dives, especially over the last 3 to 4 years. And it's been really eye-opening what we've been able to pull through as a result. And so there's something about understanding your own unique energetic blueprint. There's something about understanding how you're wired that not only gives you a sense of clarity, it also gives you a sense of space to create permission to know that you are not here to be like everybody else. And so I say that because I'm going to share a little bit about my journey through that as I make this announcement around the fact that I have a brand new program. The program is called Magnetic AF, or Magnetic as Fuck, because it really is the ability to tap into the understanding of your own energetic blueprint to activate and amplify and accelerate the very essence and magnetism of you. And so if you are looking to call in a different level of client, if you're looking to call in a new job or a new opportunity, when we can understand how we're wired and where we can sort of use those leverage points, we can turn it on, we can activate them at their highest capacity, we can then call those things into us with greater ease, faster, with less effort. And it can be really joyful to see how abundant and how prosperous these things can come in. And so for me, just so you know, I am what is considered a 6-2 emotional manifesting generator. And so to give you a little bit of understanding around how I was able to start to give myself permission differently, because I know many of you, especially if you are a Mani-Gen or projector, it doesn't even matter. Even as a generator, there are things in our life where we felt like people have tried to put us in a box, where it feels like you're just not, I don't know, the rules just don't apply. And all of the ways people convince you you're supposed to show up, the way you're supposed to be, just feels like you keep bouncing against this wall that really sometimes can hurt. But it feels like you keep trying to punch out of a paper bag, or you keep getting put in a box that's not meant for you. And so for me in particular, it was interesting because I would get really stuck. I would find myself getting really frustrated. And by the way, that's my not self theme. One of my not self themes is frustration. I would get very frustrated when things in my life wouldn't look like other people's, especially as an entrepreneur. Really frustrated me when I would see other influencers out there, when I would see other trainers out there, when I'd see other coaches, and I'm like, that doesn't work for me. That doesn't feel right. And every time I would try to do this linear, very structured, very myopic one thing that I was focused on, I would find myself with this real intense resistance, and I would find myself almost at having an out-of-body experience. And so it was interesting as I studied my own wiring, and as I studied both the fact that I'm a 6-2 profile and I'm a Mani-Gen, comes to find out that's not how I'm wired. Me focusing on one thing for the rest of my life is essentially death. It literally zaps my creativity because I'm here to move in and out of different things that light me up at different times. I'm here to pivot. I'm here to create things that haven't been done and to disrupt some of the systems and the things that are going on. And as I went deeper and deeper down in my own understanding of my human design, I realized that everything I was trying to tell myself I was supposed supposed to do, whether it be my 20 years in corporate that many of you know, I hit rock bottom in that space. I hit rock bottom because I was winding and grinding. I was burning and churning. I was running this rat race on this hamster wheel that seemed like it never ended. And by doing so, I ended up in the hospital right around when I was 35 years old. I ended up in the hospital because I had this massive pain in my chest. What I didn't realize is I was burning out not only my adrenals, but I was completely exhausting myself because I kept convincing myself I had to show up a certain way. I kept convincing myself I had to be like everybody else. And I used to chastise myself or self-deprecate around, I move fast, I do these things, I'm kind of like in and out of things. And what was really interesting about that is as I started to explore human design about 5 years ago, I started to see pathways for where I could give myself permission to not do those things I thought I had to do, to not show up the way I kept shooting all over myself or the way I allowed others to shoot on me as well. And so what was really interesting is I started to get curious. And so I got into a place of contemplation. I've been in a nonstop contemplation since, because there's always layers, right? It's kind of like the onion that you get to pull back and you get to see various layers and nuances, especially as it relates or resonates to whatever's going on in your life. Because that was the other thing that I gave myself permission around, things that I've been bumping up against, things that feel like my life challenges, things that feel like they've kicked my ass sometimes. It's not that I'm here to get rid of all of that. I'm here to understand it on a deeper level, because by understanding those things, and in human design and gene keys, oftentimes it's called the shadow. When I can understand the areas that I have opportunity to heal, or the areas that I have a lot of conditioning or programming, I then can allow myself to do the work to lean in on the growth trajectory that says, what can I extract from this? What can I pull that's going to be meaningful in terms of how I lead, in terms of how I show up, in terms of how I get to communicate or put the essence and magnetism of me out into the world. And so with that has come this incredible permission to not only be who I am in my truest, most authentic, aligned as fuck capacity, but it's also in the realm of being able to give myself permission to do things that have never been done, to dance in the possibilities, to play in that space of wonder and creativity and imagine if, where for so long I thought there was only one path. And I mean, we've been told that, most of us, right? This is the way that you're successful. This is the way you grow up. And what was also really liberating for me inside this work was the fact that, and anyone that has a generator aura about them, whether it's a manifesting generator, we're not here to achieve shit. We're not here to accomplish. We're here for fulfillment. We're here for satisfaction. And when we can use our end game as a metric around how joyful, how fulfilled, how connected and satisfied in our life we are. Talk about a game changer. This is completely opposite of what gets drilled into us from an early age around. It's all about what you can accomplish. It's around what your career path looks like. It's around success, right? It's all the bullshit that we buy into. That one of the things I found so liberating when I was getting into the work around human design was the fact that when I talk about destroy the noise, when I talk about letting go of all that, negative self-talk, opinions of others, the inefficiencies you're creating every day, the shoulding you're doing all over yourself, and the excuses you're creating. When I talk about that, it really put me in a position to blow up all that bullshit, to be in a space where I got to reclaim my personal power and say, oh my God, I get to decide. And that's one of the beautiful things I love about human design. There's some people that will tell you, and there's been a lot of talk about human design lately. And I think rightfully so, because universally we're moving into some different energy. And I think it's really important for us to not only understand kind of the energy of the universe and what's going on around us, but also understanding our piece of the puzzle inside of that. And so, of course, that's showing up because we're being asked to lead differently. And when I say lead, I don't mean lead in a function of title, responsibility. I mean lead in terms of how we show up for ourselves and for each other. We are all fundamentally here to serve on some level. We are here to serve our purpose, which is who we are. We are our purpose. We are here to serve that. We are here to show up in that. We are here to offer that as part of the gifts that we have inside of us. And so when I say lead, I'm talking about leading yourself. How are you choosing to show up? How are you choosing to serve others? And how are you taking personal responsibility inside that? that space. And so we are being called, whether you know it or not. Most of you probably can feel this. We are being called into a whole new level of leadership. I like to say we're here to lift the level of leadership, right? Raise the consciousness. And the thing is we don't need to worry about raising the consciousness as much as we need to think about raising our own consciousness, raising the level of our own leadership. And what does that look like? And so one of the things that's been extremely powerful is, as I've gone down some of these rabbit holes and as I've worked with the people that I've been so blessed and honored to work with in a one-on-one capacity or in an organizational capacity, human design has been the game changer. I do a lot around DISC assessments. I do a lot around Myers-Briggs. I do a lot around all kinds of other assessments that are out there. I bring a lot of that in, especially when I'm doing organizational or corporate work. That being said, I have now parlayed that or paired that with human design. And when we look at the wiring of a collective leadership team, or we look at the wiring of collective culture, how we start to set them up for, quote, success. And we redefine that. That's one of the first things that comes out of the gate, right? Is how do we redefine that? It's just been amazing to see what comes through. There's a whole different conversation when people start to realize that they can look at others through a different lens. When they realize, whoa, maybe you're not here to work the same way I am. And I'll give you an example. I'm a manifesting generator, which means I move fast. When I'm lit up and when I've ridden my emotional wave, because I'm an emotional mani-gen, when I ride that high and low of when I make my decisions. And so if it's constantly a yes for me and I've given it some space and it really lights me up in my core, when I say yes, I go fast. I mean, I go freaking fast. And anyone that's been around me sometimes is like, whoa, what the hell? And I even can remember my first job, and I'll tell you this, my first job out of college. I got recruited. I was the first one in my graduating class that got recruited. One, because I was one of like 5 females that graduated. I'm a mechanical engineer by background. For those of you that don't know, I know, shocking. So anyway, I'm a mechanical engineer and I stepped into an engineering role coming out of college. And I remember I moved to Cleveland, Ohio, which had its own energy. Let me just say that. And it was, this is 1992, when did I graduate? 95. I don't even know when I graduated. 95. So I am moving to Cleveland, Ohio in the dead of winter. It was a blizzard when I moved in and a blizzard when I moved out. I was there 11 months, 10 days, and 14 hours. That just gives you an indication of how much I connected to that opportunity. But anyway, my first job out of college, it was me and 3 other male engineers doing the work. Well, I'm a mani-gen, and when I'm in my zone, I go fast. I can remember my boss, who at the time, his name was Alex, I believe, came in my office, and I will never forget this. I felt I had done something wrong because his exact words were to me, Candy, you need to slow down. And I remember looking at him and I said, what? He said, you're working too fast. You're making the rest of the team look bad. And I said, is there something wrong with the quality of my work? And he's like, no, but you need to slow down. And it's because I was moving at the speed of light, and it's the way I operate and it's the way I go when I'm lit up in things. When I'm not, I can get really stuck, and that's a whole nother story. And what was interesting is he was telling me I had to be something I wasn't. There was a lot of generator energy around me, and they like to do their thing and their space and their time. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because we are all here to work in the way that aligns with us best. And just because one of us might, bend time, move fast, whatever, I also can make mistakes in that. That is one of the gifts and curse of being a manifesting generator, is while I move fast, oftentimes I skip crucial steps, and part of my learning path is to go back and rearrange those things so that I can clean up those mistakes and I can learn through that experience. A generator, on the other hand, is going to get really locked in and go deep, and they're going to work more methodically, and they're going to have sort of a rhythm and cadence to them. A projector might be someone who works in some blasts and then going to take deep periods of rest. And what's interesting was I had no idea about any of this, back then. I mean, nobody was talking about, your energy and human design or any of that stuff. But what's fascinating to me is I still remember clearly that comment. Fast forward almost 20 years of my career, my last job that I had in corporate before I decided to step away to do this, I had a leader above me who I adored. I absolutely loved her. She ended up leaving to go spend more time with her her daughters. But I remember her making a comment to me as well, that she said, Candy, you have this energy. and you need to be more mindful of it. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, you have this energy that you can walk in a room and you can lift up the room, or you can walk in and shut it down and you don't even have to say anything. She goes, you need to be more mindful of your energy. And I remember at the time, I was like, I didn't ask for that. I don't want that kind of responsibility. And I'll never forget what she said to me on the flip side of that. She said, for someone who believes they have a bigger calling and that you are here to lead in a bigger capacity, maybe when you're done with the bullshit in your head, you'll see that it's standing right in front of you. What's interesting is now that I've dug down some of those rabbit holes, I can see the connection for both of those conversations, how they fit into my unique human design, into my energetic blueprint. And so what's really fascinating is when I started to understand that, when I started to understand my superpowers based on, my defined centers and the defined areas in my chart, and those innate gifts, which are those areas that I was just talking about, which are those spaces that we get to heal, or we get to grow, or we get to expand in. Holy shit, game changer. So anyway, that's all to be said, is that I am super, super, super freaking excited, because so many of you have asked for me to help guide you through that same trajectory that I've been down. And so I have finally put together a program called Magnetic as Fuck, which is really the opportunity for us to do 6 weeks to go down a exploration into these rabbit holes, so I can show you and give you my perspective of what I've been able to glean through my studies over the last 5 years around human design, and where those magnetizing markers are in your chart and how you activate them. So if you are ready to truly lean in and think about, I would love to understand my own energetic blueprint, my wiring on a deeper level. I would love to know that there are some specific ways I could activate more in my life while doing less and get super aligned in a way that lets me activate, amplify, and magnetize what I want to call to me, then I say check out the new program. Like I said, it's 6 weeks. We are going to go through. Week 1 is going to be all about understanding your individual type. There's 5 types, right? We're going to talk about your type, your strategy, your authority, how you bring energy to you, how you make decisions. We're then going to move into week 2, which is all about the profiles. There's 12 profiles and 6 profiles and 12 profiles and 6 lines. Ooh, need to slow down there for a minute. See, me as a mini Jen, just going too fast. So there's 12 profiles and 6 lines. We're going to talk about what that means specifically for you, both on the conscious side and the unconscious side of your energy. We're going to talk about the 9 centers, what it means for the defined spaces and what it means for the undefined or open spaces. All of that has magic in it, and I want to help you map that out. So this is a way for you to map out your magnetic markers within your own design. Week 4 will then be about your incarnation cross. Also, we will be bringing in a little bit from Gene Keys, because your incarnation cross is also your activation sequence. So we're going to talk about that, because that really highlights your calling, your purpose, why you're here. And there's some juice in that. And I get so excited when I can talk to people about that. And then we're going to talk about specific channels and gates. There are specific leadership channels. There are specific gates and ways you can bring some really cool things to you, both in the way that you communicate, the way that you're manifesting, the way that you're leading. I'm going to highlight those so that we can really go in and you can see some of the magic, and again, map that out for yourself to see what's resonating. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the planets and the arrows. I love the planets. There is so much when you understand all of the information around your unconscious and conscious, where you're stationed in your planets and what that means for you, the individual lines. And so we're going to get into a lot of real juicy meat. And so I invite you to join me. I invite you to take this adventure and jump down some very curated rabbit holes. You will not have to go down the rabbit holes the way I have in the past. And so I just want you to realize that this is an opportunity for 5 years of me curating massive amount of rabbit holes that we're going to go down. And it's a way for us to streamline how you can better understand what your chart represents, what is available to you through the whole process. There is this space where you get to decide and you get to kind of play around with it and explore and contemplate how it resonates for you. And we're going to talk about that as well. So the launch is running this week. We will be closing the doors on Friday. So if you are interested, check it out. I will put a link below as well. Otherwise, if you're on Instagram or any of my channels, it's up on my link tree. You can go get it in the profile. But it is the new Magnetic Effect program, and I am super excited because this is all things human design. This is foundational pieces that is not just let's read our chart. It's how do we know what magic lies in our chart so we can magnetize it, we can activate it, we can amplify it, and we can magnetize it. So with that, I'm super, super, super freaking excited. It's been a while coming. And so super excited to announce that that is rocking and rolling. And we are going to kick things off next Monday, the 13th. So be ready. If this is speaking to you, make sure you sign up. A couple options for you on how you can either, do a pay in full, or I have a payment plan for you as well. So anyway, that being said, I'm excited to play with you. I cannot wait to share all of the magic that lies within all of that energy and help you make sense of that so that you can create or recalibrate your GPS in the direction that you want to be going. So with that, this is Candy. Happy Monday, y'all. And hope you have a great magnetizing Monday. And I will catch up with you later on. Thanks, y'all.